What's going on, guys? Welcome to another football video. Champions League drama. Rigged? Fixed? Controversy? Certainly rigged. No. There was a Champions League draw early today for the round 16. Lovely. And there was a simple, honest mistake by UEFA in terms of the screen showing teams from a previous draw, something like that. Ultimately, it meant that United were drawn out with Villarreal, which couldn't happen because they were in the same group, and thereafter it meant that United were included in a potential pot against Atletico, so it meant that United ended up playing against PSG, Atletico Madrid ended up playing against Bayern Munich, and then there was a bit of a shambles thereafter. UEFA own up to the mistake, and guess what? We do a redraw, and it's all good. It's all lovely. So no, we're not even going to entertain any notion of it being rigged or fixed or whatever, or anyone's buying the officials. It was just an honest mistake. Can we please stop being babies? Can we please move on and stop crying about going, oh, well, my team always gets it really hard. Just shut up. I'm just so bored of children on social media. Well, in theory, they're adults, just crying about it. It's just luck-based and it's a draw. They made a mistake. If it was rigged, do you really think that their reaction, that the way they would plan to rig it would be to do a stupid error with the screen, acknowledge it live on TV, and then do a redraw? Do you not think they'd be a bit smarter about it? Anyway, irrelevant. It wasn't a rig. Let's talk about the actual fixtures, shall we? I have them on my phone. Originally, these were the original fixtures before the error, and therefore all of these are redundant. But initially, the fixtures were Benfica, Real, Villarreal, City, Atletico, Bayern, Salzburg, Liverpool, Inter, Ajax, Sporting, Juventus, Chelsea, Lille, it's the exact same one, and then PSG versus United. Some relatively interesting fixtures were in there. Probably the one that calls out to me the most, probably Atletico, Bayern, or PSG versus United. Liverpool with a pretty easy draw, Chelsea with an easy draw, City with an easy draw as well. United probably getting knocked out by PSG. But as we all know now, that has now changed. So these are the updated fixtures that we will be having a quick chat about. Salzburg versus Bayern Munich is the first one. Now, that's just as good as a buy, honestly. It was Liverpool in the first one. Everyone basically wanted Salzburg. I think it's fair to say easily the weakest side in the whole competition, up against what I would say is the strongest side in the competition with Bayern Munich. Well, either them or City. For me, Bayern Munich are certainly one of the favourites. I think in terms of UEFA coefficient, they are the strongest. Salzburg easily the weakest. So there's no point of even really talking about that game much more than that's basically a buy for Bayern Munich. Basically anyone's a buy for Bayern Munich, really, apart from the absolute top teams. But there you go, really easy one for them. Benfica versus Ajax. I think it's a much nicer fixture for Ajax, and probably maybe a bit nicer for Benfica as well. Ajax are doing really well this season, actually, and I do think that they will be beating Benfica. I didn't think that they were going to get through against Inter Milan, because I do really like Inter, but I can see them beating Benfica. Not comfortably, but I do think that Ajax will be winning that one. In terms of the next one, we've got Chelsea versus Lille. The exact same one as last time. Lille, easiest of the winners. Sporting versus City. Probably an easier draw for City, and probably a harder draw for Sporting. Sporting did have Juve, and City had Villarreal, Europa League champions, but City now have Sporting instead. City do have a bit of prior with Sporting. They knocked City out of the Europa League around 10 years ago, actually, when City finished third in the group of death in the 11-12 season when they won the title, and then Sporting knocked them out in the Europa League quarter-final. I believe Joe Hart nearly got a 95th minute winner, but not quite. So City will quite comfortably beat Sporting there. So far we've got Bayern, Ajax, City and Chelsea to win relatively comfortably, I think. Villarreal Juventus is a more interesting fixture than Sporting Juventus. I think Juventus will just be too much for Villarreal, but it won't be really easy for Juventus, but it will be Juventus who goes through. And then we've got Inter Milan versus Liverpool. Potential controversy, because Liverpool had a very easy fixture against Salzburg. They were going to smash Salzburg. Let's all be honest with ourselves. They were going to smash them. Inter Milan, I still think Liverpool will not smash, but I do think they will beat them home and away. Not necessarily by a huge margin, but Liverpool, I don't think, have anyone to fear in that lot of runners-up. Even PSG. We'll get on to PSG. You all know my thoughts on PSG. I think they're overrated. Tripe. So yeah, so I do think that Liverpool will be beating Inter Milan. Much trickier fixture than Salzburg, but still, it's Liverpool. they're going to beat Inter. Should be a good game though. And then PSG versus Real Madrid. PSG versus Real Madrid. Harder fixture for Real. Harder fixture for PSG, I'd say. I do think that Real Madrid are going to win that one. I did think that PSG were going to beat United, even though I don't think PSG are that good because of their lack of cohesion up front. They've got basically 3 passengers. When you watch them against City, it's basically 3 passengers in the side, not really wanting to do any defensive work or pressing work at all. It was ridiculous, actually. It was ridiculous. So I do think that PSG versus Real will end up in a Real Madrid victory, although it will be Mbappe versus his future club. So a storyline there for sure. And either way, a big side going out of the competition. And speaking of a potential big side going out, in name, certainly, not necessarily in reality, it's Atletico Madrid versus Manchester United. I do think United have an easier draw there. Atletico Madrid have a much easier draw there because it's not Bayern Munich. I do think, even though United have their massive issues, there's a few months down the line, so there's enough time for Rangnick, who I do rate as a manager, there's enough time for Rangnick to do something there. Atletico Madrid are nowhere near as good as they were, say, four years ago. They struggled in the group stages, I thought. I thought they were woeful against Liverpool at times, even though Liverpool did get a bit fortunate at Atletico Madrid. But overall, I thought Atletico were quite poor. I thought they were quite fortunate to get through, actually, in second place. So I do think that United will be beating Atletico Madrid. So I do think that these are going to be the final. These are going to be the final people to go through. It's going to be Bayern Munich, City, Ajax, Chelsea, United, Juventus, Liverpool, and Real Madrid. Those will be the teams going through to the quarterfinals, and unless something really weird happens in terms of the draw, not really weird, but unless certain teams are drawn against one another, I do think that we will be looking at Bayern and Man City as the favourites going into the quarterfinal, semi-final, and the final. I think that unless United can draw, or unless there's an upset, so for example Lille beating Chelsea or Benfica beating Ajax or Sporting beating City somehow, I do think that the quarterfinals will be the end for United, and indeed whoever goes through from Atletico or United, whoever goes through from PSG, Real Madrid, maybe even whoever goes through from Juventus and Villarreal, because I do think that the best teams in the competition are Bayern, City, Liverpool, and probably Chelsea, really. Are Juventus that good? Not really. Real Madrid that good? Not really. Lille, no. Ajax, they're fun, but I don't think they'll get past the quarterfinals. United, Atletico, no. And Liverpool, yes. So, those are my predictions. Those are my thoughts. The Champions League draw was not rigged. If you thought it was, please get over yourself and stop being a little petulant baby child. It's called the luck of the draw for a reason. It's a draw. They made an honest mistake. They rectified it. Let's move on. If you have not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? I do regular high-quality football content. I think it's relatively high quality sometimes anyway. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video for your boy, and I will see you guys next time.